Texter writes in, remember when they said Jimmy wouldn't work in Miami? Russ can work. Trust in Spo.
Not they.
What? Me? I said may have.
Wait. You have to, like, Toba was looking down doing something, and it was quiet, and he looks up and goes, "Oh, me? Who else would I be talking about?
What are you talking about?
You're the only guy that does that."
Said may have.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So here's the story. This is from the Athletic. Like, all right, let's give you the steps. So yesterday, ESPN reported towards the end of our show that Russell Westbrook and James Harden were concerned with the direction of management. That ain't good. Apparently, they hadn't been returning calls. They weren't talking to anybody. Kendrick Perkins then goes on the jump. He gets his quote-unquote sauces out and says that they haven't answered any calls from management or from ownership in a little bit. Kendrick Perkins, of course, used to play with Russell Westbrook and James Harden on the Thunder. So I'd imagine he has pretty good sources there. And then, so
can you imagine that team not winning? Now that you go back and think about it. Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kendrick Perkins.
Don't forget about Serge Ibaka.
But he was like Baby Bam back then.
Yeah, but he was still
rebounder.
But don't forget they picked him instead of James Harden to pay. So
yeah, right.
Either way, so that was the reports yesterday. Then last night, I would say probably around 6 o'clock, we got a report from Shams Bombs yesterday that officially states Russell Westbrook wants out of Houston. The story writes in The Athletic, the Houston offseason has become quite raucous again. Nearly 2 months after the bumpy departure of Mike D'Antoni and Daryl Morey, sources tell The Athletic Shams Charania that one-time MVP, 9-time All-Star Russell Westbrook wants out of Houston, who has 3 years, $132 million remaining on his deal, and he has expressed those sentiments to Houston officials. Westbrook has informed the team that he is uneasy about the team's accountability and culture and wants to join a team to have a similar role, providing a floor of being a floor general like he was in Oklahoma City. The Rockets are fully intending to continue building a title contender around James Harden, and a rival team officials tell The Athletic that the franchise has been so far protective of their franchise centerpiece James Harden and Westbrook in trade discussions. What's more, sources tell Sharina and Kelly Eco of The Athletic Houston that Harden remains committed to the Rockets and is, quote, locked in for the season. He spent time working out in Los Angeles, but returned to Houston prior to training camp on December 1st. So he is back. He also says that Westbrook has made it known for quite some time that he would like to see significant changes in the Rockets' culture, specifically his desire for more team-wide accountability, discipline, and structure, which have been the focus of talk with team officials throughout the season. Westbrook was a consistent presence who kept James Harden accountable. The two close friends had several verbal exchanges that sources described as tense but needed.
So basically, Russ wants out because he doesn't feel that he can hold Harden accountable.
It's a pain in the it's probably a pain in the ass for him to do it. Like, you're his friend, so you always have to have the talks with him.
Right. I guess, but you know what? I would say this. If Harden wants to win, then he'll accept that. You know what I mean? And because they're friends. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I think when you're in an environment where you have to be the guy to push that, and you got to play, and you got to perform, it just weighs heavy on you, right? And so it's not that Russ minds doing that, and it's not that he can't do that with his friend, but now think if you got to do it with 3 other guys. And so the whole game, you're not only worried about scoring 30, but now you got to keep everybody else, in line on the defensive end.
Right.
Yeah, I could see how it wears on you. It will wear on anybody. And we've seen guys, for example, it sounds like something maybe Tom Brady may be going through now. Right? Is that he left a team where nothing mattered but winning, And now he's on a team where they're telling him things like, hey, man, you got to get it to Mike Evans a little bit more. Hey, man, Tom didn't look good this week, right? Like all the things that he spent his last 20 years living by. You don't throw your players under the bus, right? As long as you win, you don't care about your numbers. All these things he never had to worry about. Now he has to deal with. And along with being a 42-year-old quarterback in the NFL.
The story also says that although Harden and Westbrook were kept abreast of the team's decisions during the offseason, offered input, both players are in win-now mode, have raised questions about whether that same mindset is shared with the front office. Harden was initially lured to Houston 2012 by Daryl Morey. However, as it pertains to both Harden and Westbrook, there is concern about the direction the team is heading, and specifically worried that the team may prefer to rebuild sooner than later, sources said. With the Stars still in the prime of their careers, the championship window that was once wide open is now considerably shut, and both have zero interest in a rebuild.
Can I throw this other caveat in that situation?
Sure.
What if they both really like Daryl Morey?
They might have.
Because it seems like when you think of all the things that
don't forget
you just mentioned, want to win now, want to get it done now, the window is closing. When you think of Daryl Morey, what do you think of? I'm going to do whatever it takes to win now.
And Daryl is the guy who, don't forget, James Harden was a bench player in OKC. You know, he's the one who he had the vision to make him a franchise player.
Right.
So yeah, it's I think everybody's looking at this, and the Russell Westbrook thing is fine. He's still a big name. He's a former MVP, but the juicy story, I think everybody's looking at this, even though they say James Harden is quote locked in. Is there going to be a situation where Houston, all right, if they look at this, because let's be realistic about it, like if you get rid of Russell Westbrook, does James Harden alone with some pieces, whatever Russell Westbrook fetches you, does that have a chance in the West? Does that have a chance in the West with the Warriors coming back, with the Lakers still being on top, with the Clippers coming back? Does it have a shot? Probably not. Probably not. So yeah, I would say if you're Houston, you got that new owner, that new owner, our friend of the show, Tillman Fertitta. Hey guys, hey. I can see them being in a situation. James Harden would fetch you a lot. It would fetch you, I think, a lot in a trade. Do the Heat, if you want to pertain it to down here, do the Heat have the pieces for it? Like, is that because they're not going to trade Bam Adebayo for him? They're not going to trade Jimmy Butler for him.
Pieces for everything because they have a lot of young talent. So, yes, there isn't a player in this league, a superstar, that another team will look at the Heat and say, I trade him for these pieces or this player or this whatever, because there's young talent and it's going to be cheaper. I don't care who of all the young players.
Would you like another trade bomb that was out there yesterday?
Go.
This comes from one Ochocinco. That's Chad Johnson. Chad Johnson tweets out, after conversing with Jimmy Butler, we are making a huge splash via trade. I'm sworn to secrecy, but I'm excited for my Heat this upcoming season.
You're buying that?
What, you think he's doing it for clicks?
The Heat are making a big splash. Hold on. Dude, you know what that is? That's beginner reporting.
What?
Beginner reporting.
Jimmy Butler said Ochocinco is his favorite athlete. They love each other.
Beginning reporting, right? No names, no nothing. Just wait for it. Big shocker. Coming at 4. Right? Come on.
You think so? You think he's like the WSVN of trade talks?
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
It's coming.
Right?
I believe him. I feel like
of course you do.
The C.
Wait, can I ask you a question?
The sea winds are rumbling.
Let me ask you this question. Did you need to hear that from Chad to know that the Heat are looking to make a big move?
No, but I like.
Okay,
I like the fact that there's talks happening.
I could have said that.
Oh yeah, I would love that. I would love that.
No, I'm not gonna say that. If you ain't giving a name, then what you have? Anybody could say that. Hey, what I'm hearing on the street is the Heat are gonna make big moves.
Big moves.
Big moves.
They're gonna be big.
It's gonna be the greatest offseason ever.
Moves.
Like, come on, man. Like, you fall. Wait, you may get me, right? Periodically, every now and then, you may get me, right?
Ochocinco has declared that the Miami Heat are going to make a big trade. He's having a talk with Jimmy Butler. This is from Chad Johnson, former Dolphins wide receiver. He says, after conversing with Jimmy Butler, we are making a huge splash via trade, but I am sworn to secrecy. But I'm excited about my Heat this upcoming season.
No, hey. Watching Keanu Reeves movies is equivalent to listening to an audiobook narrated by Dikembe Mutombo. Oh my God. Oh my!
So Ochocinco's on the case, Leroy. He and Jimmy Butler, they're making a big trade.
Follow up. Should we have him on?
He also sure, would love to
have him on to get some.
He says somebody tweeted out from Heat Nation. They said yes or no, and it was a Photoshop of James Harden in a Heat jersey, and he also says I can make this happen. So look, he's on the case. Ochocinco is out here being a shadow GM.
I think one of the things that we fail to realize is that with a lot of these players, sometimes they play the way they do because of the role that they have on that team. And if that role were to change, I mean, being a great player, I mean, you look at LeBron and D Wade and Bosh. Okay, they all came from different roles, and they played their roles on this team like you would expect superstars to do.
The one thing I would say, though, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. You talked about maybe some of the trouble of fit with Giannis here because he doesn't shoot. I ultimately think like talent will overwhelm, and if they still have a guy like Duncan on the floor, that's great. James Harden, as far as a fit next to Jimmy,
you think
Jimmy
if Giannis comes here, you think Duncan's still going to be on this team?
Well, why? Why wouldn't he be here? They got to trade Dunks
and Tyler.
Maybe they could protect one of them.
How? The money's not going to match.
We put out rumors that Duncan Robinson's a bad character guy. Okay.
Really?
Yeah,
he looks like a bad character guy.
We start all right, when the rumors start up, you and I will talk about how Duncan Robinson's super selfish in the locker room and that he never played in Milwaukee.
Here. I'm going to make the Heat a top contender again.
Yep.
Give me James Harden and Vernon Carey Jr.
Although you probably have to give it the 20th pick, though.
Not if you're giving up those two players.
You don't think that you would have to give up those two players and the 20th pick to get James Harden?
No way.
Too much? Too steep? Too steep?
You get 2 of the 3.
Wow. You drive a tough bargain.
Why?
It's James Harden. He's a former MVP.
Right.
You don't think they come at you and say, no, we want the 20th pick and we want Kendrick Nunn?
You can have, well, let's see. With James Harden, you can pretty much get rid of your 2 scoring point guards.
Oh, but that means Gogi.
You bring Gogi back.
Gogi off the bench?
Yeah.
Yeah. But not the 20th pick. Too steep.
Right, because you're gonna need to.
What if
you're gonna need to bring in some young talent because of the hit you're gonna take?
All right, so you're saying Tyler? So the baby goat's 20th pick, but I get to keep Dunks.
The money's not gonna match up.
He doesn't make any money.
Huh?
The money's gonna be old Iguodala hit the bricks.
Yeah.
See, you wanted that extension. See
so
ya.
you go Iguodala. You go Dunks or Tyler, which I would guess it'd be Tyler.
They can't technically. Oh yeah, Tyler's definitely gonna be the deal. You can't technically trade Kelly Olynyk yet because he hasn't opted in.
Wow, that would suck. Kelly, why don't you opt in?
Hey, Kelly, what do you want to? Hey, all you cool cats and Kellys,
Tell you
what do you gonna
have
opt
a
in?
lot. You could never be a GM.
What are you talking about?
Your shenanigans would make nobody want to play for you.
Why?
You already had Bam waiting for his extension.
I don't have him wait for it. Well, if you get James, James Harden gets here, he doesn't got to wait for anything because Giannis ain't coming here. Hey, Bam, better go house hunting.
And you think you can make a trade keeping Tyler and Duncan?
Not one has to go.
Would you give away both of them for James Harden?
It seems ridiculous to say no.
Pat Riley 75.
Pat Riley 75. Like there's no. I don't think he does. Like I think Pat Riley.
You got a 3-year window. So you got Bam. Here's your starting five. You got Jimmy, Bam, Burn for Vern, right?
Burn for Vern's not starting.
But you don't have another big.
You bring back Hammer.
Why?
Why not?
Wait. Based on what has happened the last 2 years, you're telling me you can't put the big in there and tell him just go get rebounds and block shots?
He's 19.
This team was built on young talent,
not bigs.
And so it's okay. It's not okay for Vern, but it's okay for Tyler Hero.
He's got to go, but he's going to be out there. They're going to tell a child to go defend the best bigs in the league.
No. Defend the rim and get me rebounds. That's it.
I think that's harder.
Is it?
Than getting the ball in your hand and going and showing your big balls buckets?
Guys who can play defense come in, right? And can do that. They can get rebounds.
And here's the thing though, Leroy. Here's the thing. Or does Riley look and say at James Harden, he goes, he's fat. Everybody hates his guts. Everybody thinks he's better than Dwayne Wade, and he's not. And I'm still going to get Giannis in free agency. I'm not doing it. What does he do? The conundrum is there.
He doesn't do it, though. If that's the way he feels, he doesn't do it. I
mean, Jimmy said, hardest guy to defend in the league. I mean, he would fit. Like, it feels like because you have two stars on this team that don't need the ball, right? Like, they could go make a huge impact with few shots. Lock up everybody. This guy ain't locking up. I mean, James Harden's not going to lock up anybody. So, you know.
Again, I'm curious, and I'm not saying it can't work. But if you bring a guy in and you have to get rid of some of your young talent, you're getting rid of shooting, and you're not bringing anything back in. Now,
he's a shooter, though. Like
not Giannis.
Oh, you're.
I'm saying
Excuse me.
if you try to go with Giannis instead of Harden.
I got you.
Right. So
well, I think. Yeah, and that's if you go trade for Giannis. I mean, I guess it gets the idea is if they're not, if the Bucks are serious that they're not going to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo, they're not going to trade him away. They're going to try and go out and ride out this year. I mean, man, if you had Giannis on the team where like you were able to keep those guys, you were keep Tyler and you were able to keep Duncan.
Well, no, you stop. You're in dream world.
That's not that. It ain't that far-fetched a dream. It's not that far-fetched a dream, though, Leroy.
Really?
We're talking a year away.
Really?
Talking a year away in free agency.
Oh, in free agency? No, I'm talking about not. So you're just gonna.
I'm saying the Bucks don't trade him. I'm saying the Bucks are refused. Like they're gonna go down with the ship. They're not gonna be rats off a ship. They're gonna.
Because here's the deal. Everybody says that.
Until he says no to the extension.
But then the reality of it is that you don't want to not get anything for him. Okay, and that kind of pushes that issue, right? It's not the fact of whether you want to or not. It's from the business standpoint. Once you realize, and that date is December 19th, right? Where he has to sign the Supermax or not.
Texter writes in, if Duncan Robinson gets the neck tattoo and the sleeve, the rumor might just work. Call up Dunks. We say Dunks. You go get some brow piercings, sleeve, neck tat. We're gonna say you're a big problem. You'll never leave.
Really?
I don't think I could trade him for Harden, man. That's my guy.
Okay.
He's the stroke man. Leroy.
Wait, who? You guys must be high. Who would want Harden? He can't play D, and he takes 75. He won't. I started the conversation by saying, sometimes guys play the type of basketball that's needed, and not the type of basketball that you really want to play.
That's one of the things.
He wasn't that in OKC.
That's a long time ago, though, man.
Oh, okay, fine.
That's a long time ago.
But you can't tell me
being the 3-time scoring champ, from being the 2-time the 1-time MVP, almost 2-time MVP.
You think if Harden gets traded here, he's not going to play ball, knowing where the Heat are and where he wants to go?
The only thing I would say to that is he's had two guys in the backcourt who have wanted to leave him in a year. They're like, listen, and they're not saying he's a bad guy. It's just a pain in the ass to play with him. It sounds like it.
Okay, that's there. The Heat are different. The Heat have been different with every player. The Heat have gotten the point across that it's about winning.
For a time, like there's guys who are about it though. Here's the thing with the Heat and Heat culture. All right, I'm a big believer in Heat culture. All right, I snort culture, but there are certain guys who are like Bane. They're born into it. All right. Jimmy Butler, that's a culture guy. Bam, he's a culture guy. And there are certain guys where there's a time expiration on it. Shaq, he'll buy into it for 2 years. Philly Cheese, he'll buy into it for 2 years. It's got an expiration date.
He didn't buy into it for 2 years. Year and a month.
With James Harden, is James Harden a culture guy, or will he buy into it until?
I just think great players, you have to at least give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, if a guy wants to win a championship and he really wants to win a championship, he'll do what's needed.
We'll give you a chance to win a Nest Audio from Google in about 20 minutes, so keep it tuned here to 790 The Ticket. You can text the show, 786-360-0790. I have a text that speaks to my soul, Leroy. This guy hit a point home that I think cannot be ignored when it comes to this James Harden to the Miami Heat talk. You know I love the silly sauce, and you know I love rumors. All right, maybe more than the season itself. I got to be honest with you. I love the chase. I think that's become a problem. I need a mirror reflected on me. I like the chase too much. All right, I'm like Firster. I'm like I snort all rumors. I don't care who they come from. You could have 4 followers. You could have a blue check mark. You could have, as long as you have NBA in your handle, I believe you. I have a problem. Okay, I'm addicted to the chase, Leroy. I'm addicted. That's me. If you throw an NBA rumor in front of me and it's involving the Miami Heat, I'm like, and there's those big grains calling. Except grains are sources.
There's those big grains falling.
I will, as long as you put the word source into your tweet, I'm there.
Yeah?
I'm there.
All right.
But this guy, he nails it on the head. All right? Why I can't do this James Harden trade. First of all, I don't want to give up Duncan Robinson. I love him.
Well, nobody ever wants to give up any.
I don't care, Leroy. I've made my decision. Right. I will not give up the stroke man. I can't do it. All right? The second thing is this. If Harden comes to Miami, then you reopen that stupid conversation about who is the best player ever in a Heat uniform. Hashtag Wade County. But it's not only that, Texter. You make a good point, but it's not only that. All right? It's not about who's the best player to wear a Heat uniform. People do that thing with LeBron James, all that type of stuff. It's more so the status of them in history, best scoring guards in history, and all that type of stuff. If you want to qualify James Harden as a 2-guard, fine. Some people call him a point guard now, whatever. But a lot of people want to put James Harden above Dwayne Wade in the pantheon of basketball, Leroy. And they can have the conversations, the nerds, as I like to call them. They can have those conversations if they want to. But I will never. I don't want to be part of bridging James Harden to some land where they put him above Dwayne Wade in the history of basketball.
No,
I can't be part of that conversation, Leroy. I can't be part of that. All right. And really, if you're Riley, okay, if you're Pat Riley, and we know that he's about winning, he knows this too. And we know that Dwayne Wade is somewhat still salty about leaving. Somewhat. But he does love Pat. Pat, if he brings James Harden in and gets him the jewelry that his career has been so desperately seeking, then all of a sudden everybody leaves Dwayne Wade in the dust. And then you have all these nerd bros later on in life who are going to dig up the archives. You have let's call it Bill Simmons Jr., whoever that is. Actually, James Harden was better than you and Wade. And that's just not true, because my eyes has seen Dwayne Wade be nothing but a perennial winner his entire career, and James Harden be a nonstop choke artist his entire basketball life. That's what my eyes have seen. And so it would feel like a crime against one of our own, Leroy, the man who deserves a statue outside American Airlines Arena, the man who has a street outside American Airlines Arena, has his number hanging from the rafters. It would feel like a crime to have anybody pass him in history like that when we've watched the entire career. And really what he would be using us for, what James Harden would be using us for, Leroy, is a stepping stone to step on Dwayne Wade's neck atop the basketball list. I don't think we can allow that. And people may say, Tobin, it's the past. What do you care about history? What are we talking about here? This is a South Florida icon, Leroy. The man.
What? Here. Why do you not give people any credit at all? You think if James Harden comes here, people going to start saying he's better than D. Wade?
Yes. Why don't I give people credit? Here's why, Leroy. Let me answer that question simply. People are the worst. People are the worst. What are you looking at me like that for?
I don't yell at people every day. I yell at you.
No.
So when you say people are the worst, I am full aware of what you're talking about.
Texas writes in, Heat rafters about to include Zoe, Wade, Bosh, LeBron, Jimmy, Bam, and Harden. Greatest rafters of all time. Another texter writes in, stop the Harden talk. Not Heat culture. Played like 15 seasons, no titles. Only concern is scoring. No defense.
But how? But again, here. Is that because that is what's asked of him, and when he gets here, he'll have a different role or a moderated role?
Well, I think his role here is going to be go be the lead scorer. I don't think that's going to change if he were to be here.
But you don't think Spo and Riles, they aren't good enough
Certainly.
to say he needs to do that in the context of the offense that they're running?
If you're going to ask
and
me,
you think, hold on, you think James Harden will have more confidence in Bam and Jimmy and whoever else is shooting, more confidence in them than he's had in the people that he's played with?
I don't know. I don't know what he has the most confidence. Like I would think if I was on the Rockets, I'd be like, oh, I have confidence. I have James Harden. And here's the problem.
Here's the question.
Every time his teammates look around at him in games that matter, they're like, oh, we're looking to you, James. And then he chokes.
Let me ask you this. If you have a private conversation, so it never gets out,
Yep.
and you ask Jimmy,
Yeah.
you want James Harden or not?
But they have to say, but Baby Goat's gotta go. Your boy. That's his boy, Baby Goat.
Correct.
That's his boy. All right.
What do
Jimmy
you
took.
think he?
Let me
what do
say
you think
something.
he says?
Do you know where Tyler Hero lives? Do you know where he lives?
No.
Under Jimmy Butler's wing. That's where he lives, Leroy. And so what you're saying is, as a mama bird, you got to kick him out of the nest to get James Harden.
And this coming from a guy who 5 seconds ago said people are the worst. And then those words come out of your mouth.
Kicks him right out of the nest.
Hey, you didn't answer my question.
I've answered this question, okay?
No, you
I don't know what Jimmy
Butler.
Butler. Look, has Jimmy Butler said that James Harden's the greatest scorer in the league and hardest guy to defend? Yes, he said that. Those words have come out of his mouth. He has said that. Would he like that on his team? Yes.
So you're saying he'd say yes?
But unfortunately for Jimmy Butler, I have the final ruling on this, and I have decided because of my love for Duncan Robinson, I can't allow this trade to happen, and my love for Dwayne Wade, I won't allow this trade to happen. Ergo, no James Harden on the Heat, Leroy. I'm sorry.
All right.
I've ruled it off. I'm sorry. We have to go in another direction. All right. Make that direction Bradley Beal. Make that direction somebody else. We have to move on. We have to go in another direction. I'm sorry.
So wait a minute. You rather pay $40 million for Bradley Beal than James Harden?
I have to. Yes, I'm sorry. I have to. I can't have James Harden here.
Now, what if you got to eat that other contract?
John Wall?
Yep.
I don't think they're doing that, man.
All right.
I don't think they're doing that. Plus, Bradley Beal, listen, Bradley Beal has been flirting with the Heat so hard. It's almost embarrassing how much he wants to be on
There's
the Heat.
a lot of guys that have been doing that. That doesn't mean anything.
The only person who tops Bradley Beal in Heat flirtation is Victor Oladipo. That's the only person who tops him. Victor Oladipo, I mean, he might play for the Heat for free. He wants to be on the Heat so bad. He loves the Heat. Bradley Beal, I mean, every tweet that's a like, every tweet is like, oh, he's liking every Instagram post, him photoshopped in a Heat jersey. He goes on podcasts and he talks about his flexibility and all. Dude, you want to be on the Heat? We get it. We'd love you here. All right? But Harden, it just feels like such a sellout move. We're selling out our history, for this guy who just never comes through. And also people like to try and put him somewhere above our greatest franchise player. And it's just not the case, Leroy. I can't.
People.
As
long as the people here don't do it, you're fine.
No. You think that? You always say that, and I get you. But I care about the noise, all right? And these people who are the worst, all right? These so-called experts, Zach Lowe, Bill Simmons, Windhorst, Kendrick Perkins, all right? Woj. They'll all be like, he's better than Wade if he wins a ring. And I can't allow that. I'm sorry. Right. I won't allow it because history, I watched all of history here, Leroy, and I'm not going to allow people just to sit here and say James Harden is better than Dwayne Wade because he coattail rided culture to a ring.